All right. So, you've been thinking about this one for a while, right? The Dyson Airwrap.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you've been doing your research, reading reviews, watching those videos of people styling their hair with it, and you want to know,
hmm
is it really all that, or is it just, hype?
Yeah.
Well, this deep dive is here to help you figure all that out. We're taking a look at a blog post today called Dyson Airwrap, Unboxing, Pros and Cons, and User Guide to see if this thing actually lives up to the hype.
Well, and it's interesting how much buzz it gets. People are really drawn to this idea that they can finally ditch the salon perm.
Yeah, those salon visits can be a real pain.
They can be.
So pricey and so time consuming.
Oof. Tell me about it.
Can the Airwrap actually deliver on that, like that lazy girl dream of like effortless styling at home?
Right.
The blog authors seem to think so. They were positioning it as like a long-term investment.
Yeah, the author was really focused on getting those salon results, but at home, without the constant upkeep.
Okay, so let's unpack what makes this tool so unique.
Okay.
So the blog dives into like a ton of pros. Let's start with the obvious one. I guess the Airwrap isn't just a curler.
Yeah, you got it. It's designed to dry, straighten, smooth frizz, and curl your hair. It's like an entire styling kit in one device.
Wow. So some users even claimed it helped to extend the life of their perms.
Yeah, they did.
So it could actually delay those salon visits even further.
Right.
All right, but how can one tool do all of that?
Well, that's where the Dyson technology comes in. Instead of relying on just high heat to style your hair, the Airwrap actually uses mainly controlled airflow.
Okay, hold it. How does airflow style your hair?
It's actually pretty ingenious. The Airwrap creates like this vortex of air that wraps the hair around the barrel using something called the Kawanda effect. It's basically like air flowing at a certain speed will naturally cling to a curved surface.
So it's less about blasting hot air at your hair and more about strategically like directing it.
Exactly.
Okay, that sounds way less damaging than using a curling iron.
Yeah, and less heat damage usually means healthier looking hair. The blog author emphasized that a lot, and their own experience seemed to confirm it.
That makes sense. Okay, this Airwrap sounds pretty amazing so far, but let's be realistic here. Are there any downsides? What about the learning curve?
Right.
I mean, I've seen the attachments and they look kind of intimidating.
The author admitted to being a little confused at first, but they said that it's way easier to master than a traditional curling iron, because there's no direct heat on your hair, so you can't burn yourself.
Okay, that's a big relief for someone like me who is clumsy with a curling iron.
Yeah, and plus it comes with a tutorial to help walk you through it.
Okay, tutorials can only get you so hard. So what about the actual user experience? Did the author feel like it lived up to the hype?
They did. The blog goes into a really detailed breakdown of their experience, and they even mention that they threw out their old blow dryer because the Airwrap's pre-styling dryer is that good.
Whoa, so it really is multifunctional. Okay, I'm sold on that part. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room here, the price tag.
Right.
Everyone wants to know about that.
Yeah, it's definitely an investment. But the author argued that it pays for itself in the long run because it replaces so many salon trips and other tools that you would buy.
Yeah, it's the classic quality versus cost debate.
Right, exactly. But, cost effectiveness is relative. It all boils down to how much you value convenience and hair health and having that one tool that does it all.
All right, that makes sense. So before we decide if the Airwrap is a splurge-worthy dream or just an expensive gimmick, let's take a closer look at the author's step-by-step guide and really see what it's actually like to use this thing.
Okay, sounds good.
So the blog breaks down how to actually use this thing. And I'm curious, like, what stood out to you in their step-by-step guide?
Well, they really stress choosing the right attachment based on, what style you're going for, drying, curling, or smoothing.
Oh, okay.
It sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. You wouldn't want to use the curling barrel to dry your hair.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of the curling barrels, they come in different sizes, for different curl types.
Oh, okay.
And the author really liked how easy it was to switch between them.
That's good. But didn't they say they were, like, confused at first?
They did.
So, like, what made it click for them?
Well, they highlighted this feature, I think we should explain. It's called the cool shot.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people just think it's for setting hairspray.
Right.
But with the Airwrap, it actually plays a key role in forming those curls.
Wait, really? How does a cool shot help with curling? I thought heat was what set the style.
You're right, heat does play a part, but remember how the Airwrap uses that Kawanda effect to wrap the hair around the barrel?
Yeah.
Well, the cool shot rapidly cools the hair while it's still wrapped around the barrel.
Oh, so it's like flash freezing the curl in place?
Pretty much.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah,
So the heat shapes it and the cool shot locks it in.
exactly.
Okay. So did they mention anything about like how long the curls last?
Oh yeah, the author raved about the curl retention. They said their curls lasted for days, even without using a ton of hairspray.
Wow. That's impressive. So I was reading online about newer models having an app. Did the blog post mention anything about that?
Yeah, they briefly touched on it. It seems like newer models have an app that lets you personalize like the heat and cool settings based on your hair type and, the style you want.
So you could like have a setting on your phone for beaky waves or tight coils.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty cool development. It makes you wonder if this level of customization will become like the standard for hairstyling tools.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, what other innovations are on the horizon? What if we had tools that like analyze our hair and like tell us exactly what it needs?
That would be amazing. It's already happening in skincare, with those devices that measure hydration and oil levels. It wouldn't be surprising to see something similar for hair.
Right. Imagine a tool that tells you, hey, your hair needs more moisture, or like, skip the heat styling today. Your hair is stressed.
I know, right? It could completely change how we think about hair care. Like instead of just following trends, we could have personalized routines that actually benefit our hair.
Okay, before we get too carried away thinking about futuristic hair tech, let's bring it back to the Prevert for a sec. We've talked a lot about the Airwrap's potential, but what about like concerns that people have?
Yeah, good point. Besides the price, which we've already talked about, the biggest concern seems to be whether it can actually replace a traditional blow dryer.
Right, because some people might be hesitant to give up their blow dryer for something so new.
Yeah, the author addressed that in the FAQ section of the blog. They said the Airwrap's pre-styling dryer is powerful enough to fully dry even really thick hair.
So it's not just a gimmick.
No, it's the real deal. And they said that using the Airwrap to both dry and style their hair actually saved them time overall.
That's a good point. It's definitely convenient. Did they say anything about like if it works for different hair types?
Yeah, they touched on that. The author has like fine, straight hair, and it worked great for them. But they also mentioned that it's gotten tons of positive reviews from people with all kinds of hair textures, from curly to coily.
So it seems like it's not just for one specific hair type.
Right, and that makes sense with the adjustable airflow and the different attachments. It lets you really customize it based on your hair texture and thickness.
Okay, well, this is all really great info, but at the end of the day, it comes down to whether the Airwrap is worth the investment for you personally.
Exactly, and that's where you, the listener, come in.
Yeah, we've given you the information, but you have to make the final decision.
It's like we've given you all the puzzle pieces.
And now it's your turn to put them together and see if the Airwrap fits into your hair care routine and your budget. Okay, so we've gone pretty deep on this whole Dyson Airwrap thing.
We have.
From all the promises to, how it actually works. But I think there's one more thing we need to think about.
What's that?
The future of hairstyling.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Like this whole deep dive has been about the Airwrap, but it really makes you think, where does hair tech go from here?
It's pretty exciting to think about.
It is.
We've already seen this shift towards personalization with features like adjustable heat settings and that app we talked about.
Right.
But what if we take it even further?
Okay, I'm ready. Give me your wildest predictions.
All right, so what if we had tools that could like analyze our hair on a microscopic level,
Whoa.
and they could detect like damage dryness,
Okay.
even predict breakage before it happens?
So it'd be like having a little hair scientist with you all the time.
Exactly.
That would be amazing.
And imagine like what if you could upload pictures of hairstyles
Oh, wow.
directly into your tools,
Yeah.
and they would guide you through the steps, like a virtual stylist.
Okay, now that's getting a little too fi-fi for
I
me.
know.
But who knows, right?
Yeah, anything's possible.
Technology changes so fast.
It really does.
It's crazy to think what the next 10 years will be like.
I know. And, it's not just about convenience and looks.
Right.
What if these new tools could actually make our hair healthier?
Yeah, that's the dream.
Right.
Healthy hair that looks amazing with like no effort.
Exactly. So imagine like tools that use light therapy
Mm-hmm.
to stimulate hair growth or repair damage,
Interesting.
or even tiny little robots
Whoa, hold on now.
that deliver nutrients right to your hair.
Okay, now you're really going for it.
I know, but it's fun to think about.
It is. So like, what's the takeaway here?
Well, I think the point is the possibilities are endless,
Yeah.
and the Airwrap, with all its fancy tech, is just a peek into what the future could be.
Okay, so to everyone listening out there who's been with us this whole time while we've talked about the Airwrap,
Yeah,
hopefully this has been helpful.
I hope so.
We've gone over the facts, the user experience,
Mm.
and even a little bit about the future.
So now it's up to you.
Yeah, you get to decide, is the Dyson Airwrap the right tool for you right now?
Or will you wait and see what the future holds?
It's a tough decision.
It is.
Whatever you choose, we hope this has helped you to make a good decision.
Absolutely.
And the world of hairstyling is always changing.
Always.
So stay curious, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to invent the next big thing.
Yeah, that would be awesome. All right, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
See ya.